Double happiness, Louise Miller. You're paler today and fat. Perhaps it's the drugs. I will ask Matron on the way out. I won't stay long. You of all people should understand. Yes, that is lipstick. I'm in for lunch. Well, brunch, really. I went to Wong's for congee on the way over. No, you do know it. We've had dim sum there many times before this episode of yours. Oh, but their congee is excellent. They serve it so hot it makes my chest feel like it might just crack wide open. I never want to start eating it and hate when it's finished. And that ginger garnish on top, I like to part the fibres and distribute them evenly through the white sludge. And one day I plan on ordering a bowl of just the garnish with the congee on the side. Silhouette congee, if you will. And one day, just you wait, I shall turn the white china spoon around inside my mouth and find the rough underside of it with my tongue and snap the narrow stem into pieces and grind them into white gravel in my mouth. I'll tongue the cuts and swallow all of the shards with the fresh blood made. Then you'll be all alone and I won't come to visit you anymore. How would you like that? I saw this man while I was waiting for my congee. He had this stack of yellow squares of pastry on a tray on his lap. Each of the squares were piled up at an angle, one upon each other, and dusted velvet with cornflour. He licked his thumb, took one of the squares from the pile, then smeared in a plug of the mixture from the large metal bowl beside him. Now this bowl contained some kind of minced meat, but it looked to me like green worms, truly. Next, he dipped his finger into a chipped teacup and ran what must have been egg white all along the two sides of the pastry. Then he folded that over into a little pouch with two flaps hanging out either side. Look at me, like this. Then he twisted each flap so that they tucked under. And do you know, he did all of this with one hand while he used the other to smoke a cigarette. Tipped his ash on the floor beside him. He told me later that these items are called pot stickers or wontons, depending on where you're from. I saw him from my usual banquette seat. He was sitting on an upturned milk crate in a corridor off the main hall of the restaurant, wearing a t-shirt on top, but check pants on the bottom, the chef's check pants on the bottom. His body looked lumpy, and I imagined his penis, grey and curled up in repose, just like his face in the folds of those trousers. The dumplings sat all lined up in rows on stainless steel trays next to his perch, looking just like rows of little heads and headscarves, just like miniature head-scarved ladies, their heads sitting up proud in open-top cars. So they did. But you know, when I went to the bathroom and got a better look, let me tell you, Mother, those dumplings did not look like little heads and headscarves anymore, because up close you could see the green mixture through the pastry, and for all the world it was like the little veins you see in the pale, taut skin on the eyelids of a sleeping baby. He saw me looking at his trays. He put his pointy finger up to his pressed together lips and made a gesture suggesting I follow him. So I did. We went out of the restaurant, down the lane, and soon we were in the little park between the houses on Forbes Street. There, under the big branch of a tree that was gnarled and bent right over, nearly to the ground, were 5 little baby birds in a nest in the hidden branch of that big old tree. He took the tiniest bottle from his pocket and dripped liquid into their waiting, wide-open beaks. Their tiny bald heads flipped back and their mouths made diamond shapes, in and out like a square dance. There was rather a lot of screeching. My chest had that feeling when the congee is on its way down into my tum-tum. I got the idea right there and then. It's my turn now. I purchased pale pork that I minced with herbs and spices. The butcher was happy to give me a liver, a heart, and yards of tubing, and 2 lungs that were still joined together. I looked on the back of the packet of the wonton wrappers in the supermarket and found out where they're made and called the manufacturers. They said it would cost me and that I would have to wait, but they gave me a big roll of the yellow pastry that was long and wide. I purchased good scissors and some clamps and stopped to pick up as many bags of ice as I could carry. When I got home, I laid everything out and checked everything off my list. I was ready. I cut out 2 ovals and placed one down flat. I used your flour dredger to keep all from sticking to the countertop. On this, I placed all the organs according to how it looked in the book. Then I put a fresh flap of skin on top and made big blanket stitches all around, leaving gaps in 5 different places. For the limbs, you may remember some time ago on a visit to the mall, we witnessed a young man delighting children by making animal shapes from bending balloons. Well, once I had secured the stuffing inside, 2 big and 2 not so big oblongs of pastry, I rolled them up into cylinder shapes. I thumbed in a couple of dimples around the elbows and knees and bent them back on themselves. After a sharp twist, just like the balloon had done with his creations. These I attached to the torso at the 4 apertures either side. Where the legs met at the bottom of the oval, the gusset looked like that of a pink leotard I was forced to wear to ballet class. And I paused, and I thought hard, and it got hot inside my head. And the blue needles feeling ran down my arms, but I concentrated, and I fetched the mirror. My creation is a girl. The butcher gave me 2 bull's eyes and a pig's head. This time I measured out a more rounded shaped piece of pastry, placing all the features down, padding out her head with more stuffing. Another girl went on top, another circle went on top, and I drew it all into the nape of her neck using clamps first, then secured all with my very best overlock. I flipped this over, and with a sharp scalpel I cut carefully, gently pushing her features through. I took my own sweet time for this part, for I want her pretty. I bought some newborn baby outfits and arranged them around her plump little limbs. I tied woolen booties to the end of her legs until I can work out what to do about her feet. Safe in a bed of ice in her cot, she sleeps. She's perfect. Matron wants to speak to me after this visit. Do you know what that is about? I do hope you've not been a bother. I could do without this, frankly. I am busy. There is much more cleaning and changing than I thought. Plus, there's the replenishing of the ice and the tubing. Attending to her is relentless. So I will be reducing the number of visits to you. It's only fair. You of all people should understand. I went back to Wong's and asked the wonton man to come round. He brought me carnations as pink as the ones on the side of the milk can, wrapped in paper that was both foil and plastic. I said thank you by letting him make my dress go all the way up to my neck while I was standing up. His coat was neither grey nor curled up. I let him put it inside me. The first time was sore, but it was okay. I am not a young woman, nor have I extensive experience of this thing, so I asked him to go away once he had used his hanky, but not before he showed me on the globe where he is from. Maybe I'll go there and forget to come back and see you. Matron gave me purple liquid in a bottle with a pump on top that smells like the hippie shop. I'm saving it for best. Do you remember how old I was when I first spoke? I only ask because you know the lungs and the heart that I so carefully attached. Well, I've checked these and all the other vitals, but she's so quiet. Those sweet little eyelids sit closed on her face all day long. What did I do wrong? I had no idea this would be so hard. And Mummy, I'm starting to find all this caring and cleaning a bit tedious. How long must I wait before she shows me some appreciation for all I do for her? He stays over now. I tried to introduce them, but he seems to care about me only. Every time we do it, he makes me look at the dates on the calendar in the kitchen and counts out 28 on his fingers. I just walk past the door to the nursery now. The ice began melting on Tuesday and I still haven't refreshed it. Last night I pinched her to see if she would wake and cry, but only some of the green stuffing came out and she remained in the same position. Her lips pouted and sweet, but her skin has a strange pallor. So I asked him to bring home carrots and onions and celery sticks. He also brought star anise. That made me squeal because I thought they were insects. We peeled and sliced the vegetables, then boiled them with more spices in the big pan I bought especially. This he called master stock. I fetched her from the nursery and removed her pale green matinee jacket and dropped her into the pan hole. After a while, she floated to the top. As a rolling boil gathered, she was soon in several pieces. He looked in over the top of the pot, rubbed his hands together and dished up. He put black sauce on his portion that was so large, he had to serve himself in the salad bowl. He took a great big slurp and then he yelled out, "Good flavour!" really loud, with his mouth wide open while he was chewing. I didn't have any myself. I've been feeling icky. My breasts are much bigger, can't you see? And they ache all the time. I asked him not to rub them so hard, but I'm no killjoy. I gave some of the leftovers to Matron. She was very grateful, she said. And you know, she never forgets to mention how lucky you are to have me come visit you. But I am not, she said, to expect you home any time soon.